My name is Morris Porter. I am the Vice President of NAN, National Action Network of the CSRA. We've partnered with Black and several other organizations to form a coalition called C4. C4 stands for CSRA Coalition for Comprehensive Change. And this is a good thing to change right here, right? Right? So the purpose that we are here today is, like Evangelist Harden did just speak about, we need to begin the healing process of this division that we have in the nation. And this is a mechanism of division right here. So what we want to do, we're going to bring a couple of people up. We want to first say thank you to our mayor, Mayor Hardy Davis. He actually just initiated the task force that he had was supposed to be forming. So that came forward yesterday, I believe. Yesterday evening. So we want to give Mayor Hardy Davis a round of applause for moving forward with the task force. We have a few distinguished guests in the audience. I'd like to acknowledge Representative Frazier.
Amen.
I believe we had a commissioner that was coming as well, but I don't see him right now. And we're going to go ahead and move forward with the program. I'm going to introduce each speaker. Each speaker is going to speak on from their perspective and also on specific topics of this monument. So the first speaker I'm going to introduce is Mr. Silas Battle. He's a concerned citizen of the CSRA. Mr. Silas?
Hey guys, thank you, I appreciate it. There's definitely a lot more people more qualified to speak on these things than me, but I just kind of want to share my personal experience growing up here in this area. Basically, if you grew up in a white family in the South, you know a version of history that doesn't jive with the rest of the world. The rest of the world's account of what has happened here in the South. Statues such as this are political propaganda. After the Southerners lost the war, they attempted to instill this ideal in the South that men such as these are heroes. Even going as far to try to convince everyone that Robert E. Lee was an abolitionist and he didn't believe in slavery. And it's an outright lie. A letter that he wrote is often quoted him saying that slavery is a great evil. He goes on to say in the letter, however, that he believes that slavery is necessary and that the subjugation of the black race is necessary. Some other facts. I'm just going to read this, all right? The Ladies Memorial Association of Augusta founded the construction of the Augusta Confederate Monument in the wake of the Civil War, and it has stood on Broad Street since 1878. Along with other Confederate monuments across Georgia and the nation, Augusta's monument was constructed to honor one of the darkest periods in American history, a time that was marked by white supremacy and racial oppression. We call on Mayor Hardy Davis and the Augusta-Richmond County Commission to join us in challenging the presence of the monument on Broad Street, a downtown area that every citizen frequents. We particularly call on Mayor Davis and the Augusta Commissioners to relocate the Augusta Confederate Monument. The Augusta Confederate Monument stands as a stark reminder of this nation's dark history. The base of the 76-foot monument features marble statues of the Confederate generals Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, as well as the Confederate military officers Thomas R.R. Cobb and William Henry Talbot Walker. At the top of the monument is a statue of a Confederate soldier. The inscription on the north-facing side of its base reads in part, "No nation rose so fair and white, none fell so pure of crime." This monument is in a public park on Broad Street, intentionally placed in the main thoroughfare, which resulted in the killings of 2 African Americans and the outright execution of 4 captured African Americans. As the Augusta native and historian Dr. Bobby Donaldson stated in a teach-in at the Augusta and Richmond County Public Library, papers from September 1876 noted that members of the Red Shirts will be present for the dedication of the Augusta Confederate Monument. So those same murderers were probably here when this was placed here and dedicated. None of those people were ever tried, ever. Officers Cobb and Walker, whose images are set in stone as part of the monument, were all slaveholders from families of the planter class. Thomas R. Cobb wrote extensively in defense of slavery as a morally justified institution. According to Cobb's treatise on the law yet adapts, According to Cobb's treatise on the law of slavery, slaves' mental capacity renders them incapable of successful self-development and yet adapts them for direction of a wiser race. So clearly these men are all white supremacists. I mean, it's not, in their own words condemn them. I mean, you don't even have to research it extensively. Yet Cobb's likeness still stands in the base of the Augusta Confederate Monument directly above the inscription, "No nation rose so fair and white, none fell so pure of crime." That's a lie. That's basically, my point is, coming from a white family, I've been taught that lie even now. It's 2020, and I only came to know the real version of history 5 or 6 years ago. So, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Battle. Thank you for reading that letter for us. Next person we're going to bring up. First, I'd like to acknowledge we have a candidate that's running for U.S. Senate, State Senate, Mrs. Sarita Smith, running for District 23. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Sarita Smith, District 23. The next speaker we're going to have is going to be Mr. Russell Nurse. He is a member of the National Action Network as well, retired veteran of the Armed Services, Army, and he's going to share some words with you all as well.
Good afternoon. I'm going to read directly from the paper so I don't go off on a tangent. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a very public person, but I was asked to speak about this statue monument, where it stands, and why, and if it should be removed. Now, I'm not going to keep you in suspense with long rhetoric, so I'll just cut to the chase and say yes, it should be removed. And here's my reason. On December 18, 1865, the 13th Amendment was adopted, establishing the abolishment of slavery. While vehemently opposed, the law of the land was enforced, keeping the country united and freeing slaves who were generations long in bondage. As a result, no one standing here today is a slave or is a slave owner. This monument, commissioned by the Ladies Memorial Association of Augusta, stands as an affront to the progress that Georgia and the United States of America has made. Let it be known that I have no like or dislike, nor am I vilifying or bad-mouthing the organization. But I do stand against this and any other monument glorifying slavery. Controversial statement here. Slavery is a part of the United States past. There's no question about it. But it has no need for glorification. This monument contributes to what I see as a stagnation of the progress within and around the community of Augusta, Georgia, the state of Georgia, and the United States of America as a whole. It contributes to a racial divide that has creeped into almost everything in our lives, from innocuous greetings on the street and in some establishments, to the ways that some laws are written, enacted, and enforced, especially against non-Caucasians, and the miseducation of our youth and young adults. It contributes to many negative biases we have against ourselves and each other. It acts as a negative reminder of where we were and the inability of many to let go of a war long lost and how wrong slavery and mistreatment of others are. This monument is not something that brings this community together. This monument is not something that brings this community together in solidarity and forward progress. It hinders it. It keeps us divided along racial and bigoted lines. A portion of the inscription reads, "No nation rose so white and fair, none fell so pure of crime." To me, it screams of race inequality, stagnation, and community division. It should not be something that we have on proud display as a celebration of our community, because it's not who we are. These are things that we can do without. So what should we do with it? Personally, I would want it destroyed. But as a compromise, move it to a Confederate cemetery or a museum. But it doesn't belong in downtown Augusta. Here we should be celebrating the gathering of our racial and cultural diversity that is our community.
Thank you, Mr. Russell Nurse. We appreciate those words of wisdom, knowledge, and encouragement. Our next speaker is going to be coming from the younger generation's perspective. None other than Mr. Justin McQueen.
How y'all doing today?
Hey, can y'all hear me in the back?
Yeah.
I hate microphones, my fault. Appreciation. So, I go by Q. I'm with Black, bringing lives and communities closer. Our job is we take our community, because at the end of the day, we can't just hand all the power up to the government. This is our community, these are our homes, these are our families, these are our people. And I don't want, when I have kids, I don't want them to have to grow up looking at this. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about one of the hardest times he had speaking, and it was talking to his daughter. His daughter wanted to go to Funland. Funland was only for white kids though. Colored kids weren't allowed there. He had to tell his daughter, I think his daughter was 4 to 6 at the time. He had to watch her cry she couldn't go to Funland. You know why? Just because she was black. Her skin tone. Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. said, it was so difficult to watch racism and evil cloud her mind. She was a pure, innocent soul, and next thing you know, racism. She has to deal with that because of the tone of her skin. A child. That's not what we're here for. Are we really just going to let our children deal with this? No. And for those that respect history and think we want to destroy history, where's the real history? Because the Confederates didn't win. The country was not pure. Don't ever try to lie to me like that. Y'all got family, y'all got parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. Y'all know what it's like. Y'all completely understand what it's like out here. Having this symbology, the iconography, anyway. having these things up and pervasive throughout our community, this is a very high traffic area. We see this all the time. The mayor's not down here every day. The commissioners aren't down here every day. We see this all day, every day. They're our government. They're supposed to be the voice of the people. We're the people, are we not? Yeah! So we're giving them a pretty clear message and pretty clear options on what they can do with it. So it's time they start making moves. Because if not, we're just going to get louder and louder and louder. Yeah! Much love, y'all. Big love.
Thank you, Q. Appreciate those passionate words. As you can see, and this is coming from our younger generation, this is actually really what we need to be concerned about for our future generations. They're tired of it. They're making moves to make things happen to force that change, since change won't come now. So with that being said, we're going to bring up the next speaker, Mr. Eamon Fidel. He's representative of CSRA Peace Alliance to kind of close us out.
My name is Eamon Fadel. I'm one of the founding members of the CSRA Peace Alliance. We were founded in 2006. We didn't like the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. and we don't want to have more wars than all the wars that are going on now. But we encourage the mayor and the commission to attend the upcoming forum to discuss ways to remove this blight from a spot which should be showing the best our city and our region have to offer. Okay? And we also want our state legislature and the governor to get rid of laws that prevent moving monuments like this out of the cemetery. Several speakers already summarized things up. If y'all have read Dr. Chichi's and Ms. Jordan's letter, it's full of a lot of good information about this monument, so there's no need for me to go through it, but really get a hold of that letter, read it, understand many of the details that you've heard so far. But there's one other thing we need to consider about this memorial, besides it glorifying slavery and racism and white supremacy. It's a war memorial. And you gotta think, why does the Georgia law protecting this only specify military monuments? I mean, the Georgia law allows you to desecrate monuments to peacemakers or firefighters or teachers or farmers or bricklayers or basketball players or any other monument, but it really only protects military monuments. Why is that? Do we even erect monuments to peacemakers? If all of or most of the country's monuments are military, would you say that that country loves peace? Okay, so when people get together, like this association did after the U.S. Civil War, and build a monument to try to tell people that that war is good, what they're usually doing is trying to deceive you into supporting the next war they want you to wage. All right, and then what was the war that they wanted you to wage, or they wanted the people at that time to wage? It was against the free black men and women of this continent. And that's why this monument and others like it all over this area were erected, to make people think that we should continue fighting the descendants of Africans in this continent. And so, the lies on this, please, before you leave, read the text that's inscribed on this monument. Be shocked at the lies that are there, and understand we don't have time for this anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fidel. At this time, I'm going to open the floor up for anyone within the audience that would like to speak on their thoughts, feelings, and admiration about the said monument. Anybody else want to speak?
How y'all doing? 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 Let's go. We alive, man. My name is Rich. My name is Richard. I go by Rich. I'm the owner and operator of Q at the Top Barbecue. That's barbecue in Augusta. Let me just get that out of the way first. The second thing, I grew up in Augusta since I was 6. And monuments like this, I hate to see it. If it was my option, y'all know what I'd do with it. It'd be destroyed, not even put it in somewhere other spot. No, I don't want to glorify it at all, because why do we glorify hatred? I don't really understand in this country this city too, like how much hatred is glorified. I mean, even that guy up in the office right now, all he provokes is war and anarchy and division. Yeah. But we still stand, we don't stand behind him, but we still have people that stand behind him, and it's only because we all got to get up and do what we got to do. Come out here, getting this removed is the first step. That's the first step in the long, in the process of getting this stuff gone, man. I'm tired of seeing it, and I don't know if y'all know, outside of this one, there's another one down by the 13th Street Bridge where, I don't know if y'all know that some of our officers took the homeless people's stuff, their bags, their clothes, their IDs, whatever, they threw them in the trash. If you go there, there's another Confederate monument the same way, and that's another reason why I'm saying, why is this stuff up? I'm tired of seeing it. Me personally, I'm just tired of the hatred, man. My organization, the Black organization, we're here to bring bring lives of community closer. It tells you in the name. I want to bring us together. I want to create a better Augusta. I'm really just tired of seeing stuff like this. I don't know why, like I said from the beginning, I don't know why it's glorified. I just hate it. I hope the mayor, pushes this forward so we can get this out of here. So I don't know, we can build a statue of James Brown, make a bigger one. Let's just be honest. Have y'all seen James? Great for this country. I don't care what nobody say. He had his problems with his kids. Everybody got their problems. But look at this. Like I said, this is anarchy and war. This is hate that they glorify. Let's not do that no more. That's all. That's really all I got to say, man.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm State Representative Gloria Frazier. I represent House District 126. That's Hepzibah and Burke County. And I've been doing this for 7 terms, 14 years, getting ready to go into my 8th term. I came down here today because we're in the midst of a pandemic. But this virus that we have going on now cannot supersede this. This is the ultimate virus. Hatred. I'm standing here today to let all of you know that up in the state capitol we address these issues all the time about Confederate memorials, about slavery. And every time a piece of legislation come across that I need to support in this magnitude, I don't support it. So you need to know that. And you're hearing it straight from me. I do not support hatred. And there's hatred in the state capitol also. And I keep telling everybody up there ain't saved. Okay? And everybody have their agendas. But I'm standing here today as your state legislator to let you know that I am supporting the mayor with the task force. And this is a task force that doesn't have to meet 3 months now. They need to go on and take care of business. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been here 25 years. I brought this to 2 of the commissioners 25 years ago when I moved here. And we came downtown, my family, and this is what I saw. This one and the one all the way at the end. And I worked right there at the school board. And this is what I had to drive in every morning to see. So embarrassing. And you wanna know why downtown is not flourishing? When my family comes here, I don't bring them down here. They stop as far as James Brown. Because I am embarrassed. And you are embarrassed. So we're here today. I'm here standing with these young folks, the next state legislators, the next senators, that's going to make a difference. And if we don't do this now is the time. We got to get this virus out of Augusta because Augusta is better than this. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Do we have any other, the gentleman here want to speak? Then you, and then you.
Good morning to everybody here. I want y'all to understand one thing and get it through your hearts. That y'all are not going to like what I have to say, but what I'm going to say is also what y'all believe in is the truth. I'm pro-Confederate ancestry. This piece of marble and this monument was put up to the men who died, not because of the cause they fought for. My great-grandfather died dodging bullets and caught one, and I'm sure he was not thinking it was about slavery when he was on the middle of that battlefield dying and bleeding to death. Okay. This monument is there for the people who died. Now, all these gentlemen on it, except for the top, Barry Benson, they were in the United States Army. They chose to go in different directions because of their states of home, their home life. They didn't choose to fight for slavery. They choose to fight, they fought for their home country, their states. Now, if you're going to remove a blight, first I want everybody to take education, number one, and realize what you start, you might have to finish, and it's not going to be something 30, 40, 50 years from now will be gone, unless it's gone from your heart. They say carrying a grudge is like you taking poison and waiting on the next man to die.
That's the same thing we've been dealing with, though.
I realize that. I was born and raised in Augusta in 1950. I went to all 3 schools here. I was in junior high when the first black person was admitted to that school. There was no animosity. Widow of a Confederate soldier. There's a widow's home down here. Okay, my point being, you're talking about moving this monument, some of you talking about tearing it down, and you're all saying there's no hate. That sounds like a lot of hate to me. And it needs to be brought to let me tell you this, before you remove it, it's fine. If this will cure what's in your heart, remove it, move it to the museum. If it will cure what's in your heart. But if it will not, think about it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Killed Americans.
As you all can see, we're not trying to be exclusive. We've been inclusive on everybody's thoughts, everybody's mindset. But I believe the majority, which is the way our nation runs by majority democracy. The majority of the citizens in the CSRA want this done. We have a petition that's been going around, and this you can't compare James Brown to slavery. That's bondage among a whole lot of other stuff. Our next speaker want to come up and say something.
Okay, my brothers and my sisters, my name is Amy. I would like to respond to Grandpa. Hello, Grandpa, what's your name? Even if we go beyond the aspect of Confederacy or all these soldiers that didn't even know that they were fighting for something wrong, that's what they were trying to say. This is still a symbol of negative energy because you have guns. You have guns in there, and just think, and swords and the words. Aside from that, I want to respond to Richard. Richard said maybe we should replace it with another statue. How about a statue of children, beautiful children that shows of different race and they're playing? Because there is an inherent love in the human heart amongst human beings, because God did not create human beings to be above anybody else. All are created equal. And when you notice that when you go to school, children just play. Whether you're green, you're yellow, or blue, or black, or white. Okay? So there is we have to think as a collective population of the CSRA and help this. Yes, it belongs to the museum in the annals of history, but it should not be glorified on a big street, broad street, right where there's the Imperial Theater and all that, Miller, and everybody comes here every first Friday of the month. We may not notice it, but now where the Black Lives Matter awareness has been created, we are noticing it, and we should respond to our conscience. We should respond to our, and the demands of our righteous heart and our conscience, okay? And there's another thing, not only this, the word masters of the master golf, you have to think about it, and there are several subdivisions in this town that has plantation in their name, attached to the name of the subdivision. That is still something that you should think about. It reflects the pain and the ignorance of humanity in the past. We should not cling on the past. Our eyes are in the front. We should move forward. We should increase our gross national happiness. When every human being, without regard of skin and color and economic status, that we're all being happy. The President of the United States, all the legislators and the senators should be measuring their performance in accordance with the gross national happiness of everyone. What does that mean? Guaranteeing constitutionally the basic needs of human life. And what is that? Housing, food, education, medical care. And by the way, also, maybe the gasoline should be, or the fuel should be nationalized, because if you don't have a car and you cannot afford a gas gasoline, you cannot move from one point to another. And by the way, in Augusta, we don't have so much collective buses. We cannot go to the airport without the bus. So love, happiness, merriment, and we are going beyond race when we listen to our hearts and our conscious mind. I love you all. We love everyone. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I think we have one other speaker. One other remark from the crowd.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. My name is Willie Harpo Brown, and I am one of James Brown's sons. I actually am a civil rights paralegal, and I work with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, in Atlanta, with the National Action Network, the Atlanta chapter, the NAACP, and every other civil and human rights organization, including the ACLU. So I am a litigator. I am one of the legal people behind the Black Lives Matter movement and so forth. And what we do is we file lawsuits. We actually file written complaints. We file internal affairs complaints with police departments against police brutality. We file lawsuits against judges and clerks for crimes that are committed inside of the courthouse. We are on the front lines in terms of the paperwork. And as you know, every fight in the street ends up in the courts. You can never receive any justice unless you put your qualms to paper and pen. So what is important is for everybody to get involved in the political process. If you do not involve yourself in the political process, then you will not receive any response. You won't get any justice. So at the end of the day, when the police arrest you in the street, they have to do paperwork. They have to file a report as to what they did. They have to take you to jail. That generates a process. When you file a complaint, that generates a process. So we can march in the street. Unfortunately, we have an element that believes in violence, and they will break windows and loot and all of that. But none of that comes to anything if you do not organize in a meaningful and constructive way, collectively, not divided by race, not divided by economics, not divided by social standing. Everyone has to be behind the same cause, and that same cause is justice. We only have one system in America. We have one court system, and it works for everybody. It's supposed to work for everybody. And if we work together, it can work for everybody. We can't take back, we cannot roll back time. We can't roll back, history and go back before this country, was formed. We can't roll our time back to the revolution. We can't roll back to the Civil War. We can't roll time back to the Civil Rights Movement. We cannot roll back time. We have to accept our history as it was and try to learn from what we've been through and move forward. I do not appreciate what happened during slavery or during Jim Crow or any of the other atrocities that happened. Just like, we can't appreciate the Holocaust over in Germany, but we can't take any of that back, And so what I would say personally, and what I iterate to my people with regard to how I feel toward these Confederate monuments, certainly in this day and time, the time of their glory has passed. This is a new time and a new age. The children, the great-grandchildren of both the slaves and the slave masters, we dwell together now. This is a different time. I can't go back and live my great-great-grandfather's life, my great-grandparents' lives. You guys who are descendants of the slave masters, if you will, you can't go back and live your great-great-grandparents' lives, regardless of whether they did something wrong or did something. Learn from their mistakes, just like I have to learn from my ancestors' mistakes, and we have to pick up the mantle where we are and move forward. What that means is, it makes no, I mean, of course we don't want this stuff to be around because it reminds us of the negativities of our past, and we are trying to move forward and grow together as a better America. But what we must do is not forget the past. These reminders of the past are just that, they're reminders. They do not dictate our future. We have the power, if we exercise our power correctly politically and socially together as a collective unit, all voices together, we come out and we express our desire to not, compound the problem and continue to support these type of monuments and glorify them in the public sector. They have their place, and their place is in that place in a block away, called the Augusta Museum. And I think that should be the case all around the country. In recognizing our past and how we got to where we are right now, we have to acknowledge what the Confederacy was. Of course, in general, it has a lot of negative connotations for a lot of people who are outside of the Caucasian race. But that's not to say that it's a positive representation for all white people, because even then there were white people who were against the Confederacy then, and they weren't all in the North. So you have to recognize reality. We cannot generalize everything and demonize everything in a general manner. I grew up here. I'm from Augusta. I grew up here majority of my life. I know this city like the back of my hand, both the actual buildings and the people and the politics, the social culture. You can't tell me anything about Augusta. I know what it is, but I can also appreciate having grown up in this environment. I can appreciate the racist aspects of my experience as well as the non-racist aspects of my experience. I can appreciate the white guy who called me a nigger as well as the white man who saved me from drowning in the Savannah River when I was about 14 years old. How do I draw? There's some commonality in all of us, and all I'm saying is this, in essence, is that this is a part of all of our history. We have to appreciate both the negative and the positive. The time has come for it to lose its place in prominence on this plaza in Broad Street. It should be moved and replaced with something that can bring our community together. What that is, we have to figure that out. But I think that what our goal should be is not to so-called erase the past, because we have to appreciate the past, but find out how we can move forward, how we can balance the playing field. I think what should happen starting out is that everybody who contributed to our country, to our cities, to our societies should be honored. Not just these guys. James Brown's statue should be greater. Why don't we have an avenue to reward and honor the teachers that have taught in our schools? Both the black teachers and the white teachers. I had both, and I had bad black teachers and bad white teachers. I had good. And so we should find ways to honor both our past and our future, and not try to demonize our past, because everybody has a stake in the past. With that being said, we have 3 months until our national election. We have all kinds of local elections going on right now. Everybody who's down here should have a goal of registering at least 100 people each. And that's an easy goal to do. Getting them to the polls is something else, but registering them is easy, and we have 90 days. With that being said, we have a lot of work to do. Rather than focus on the negativity, why don't we focus on the positive and move forward? We see the forces of the powers that be now, and this pandemic, this social pandemic, is a global thing. It's going on all over the world. It's not relegated to Augusta. It's not relegated to the United States. It's all over the world. People, let's come together. Let's vote. Let's get involved in our political process and our neighborhoods. Education.
Thank you. Appreciate it.